Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here as we get ready for the 18th race of the season, the third season of the NCAA Duracell Cup Series, continuing on the chase towards the chase for the Duracell Cup Series Championship. In terms of scheduled points races, this would technically be the halfway point as we have 36 races in total this season, and we are currently at race 18. But this is also the point of the season where we start to formulate up who the 16 drivers are going to be that will be in the playoffs. And there are some guys already that we kind of look at and we say, yeah, looks like they are definitely going to be in, but there's a lot of other guys that are question marks that either don't yet have a win but are up there in the points, or have a win and are way down in the stage. And the question is, will they remain in the top 30 in points? And more importantly, will they be up high enough in the standings for their win to count towards a playoff position? Because just because you have a win and you're inside the top 30 in points, if you're down around 25th, 26th, 27th, it's not a guarantee that you're going to make it into the playoffs. We saw last year where drivers, we had multiple drivers go to victory lane. We had over 16 winners. So it really came down to the 16 drivers that had wins that were the highest up in the point standings that made it into the playoffs. And we're looking at that kind of a scenario here as well. We've currently had 17 races, and 16 drivers at this point have gone to victory lane, but they are peppered all through the standings, and we'll get to that in a moment. You take a look here at our front row. Here's a couple of drivers that have not taken checkered flags since season 1. Matthew Rodriguez, the outside of the front row, won all the way back at Arizona. Mitchell Collins won back in season 1 at Kansas. Both those drivers still looking for their first win on this season. Collins comes into this race currently mired down 36th in the points. Matthew Rodriguez currently 24th in the standings, so both drivers certainly could benefit from a win here today. We'll see if good starting track position will help them at the Chicago Motor Speedway. Let's go down trackside, get those most famous words in motorsports, and get these cars rolling off the grid.
Drivers, start your engines.
Your points coming into today's race look like this. Benny Watson continues to lead the points, but he's still looking for his first win on the season. Jack Mitchell, your Darlington winner, 13 points back in second. William Brock currently sits in third. Cody Llamas in fourth. Fifth place right now is rookie points leader Patrick Smith. Then Zach Rogers, Levi McIntyre, Jose Millz, Dylan Young, and Cole Deaver. That is your top 10. Of the drivers that have won this season, of course, Dylan Young, a two-time winner, but your one-time winners, you got Mitchell in second, Llamas in fourth, Rogers in sixth, McIntyre seventh, Millz in eighth. LaPlante, last week's winner from Kansas, currently sits in 12th. 13th, Nathan Hudson. 15th, Ryan Brommer. 16th, Carter Friesen. 19th, Marcus Saatchi. James Qualls is currently 28th, and Nathan Ormond, the last car in the top 30 with a win, he is 30th. For the drivers with wins outside the top 30 in points, J Thibodeaux is 31st, Charles Sandfer 34th, and Daytona 500 winner Carson Gum in 37th. 63 laps of racing here at the Chicago Motor Speedway. Time to go short track racing here in the Duracell Cup Series. Into the restart zone they go. Green flags in the air. Let's roll. Should point out, too, Jacob Thibodeaux, we documented him week after week after week after him falling outside the top 30 in the point standings. Well, he's 31st in points, and he is only 2 points back from Nathan Ormond, 430th in the standings. So a nice comeback so far for him as they're 4 wide behind Mitchell, Young, Brock, and Qualls, and somehow they're going to make it work. They're 3 wide further back there. That was Carson Gum making a move past Thibodeaux and M Haas. And somehow they're keeping it together here, but I don't know how. 3 wide and 4 wide in the early stages at the Chicago Motor Speedway. Top 4 go single file. Collins and Wright, a couple of Mustangs. Then Rodriguez and Mitchell, a couple of Chevrolets. Best battle now is for 5th. That's between Zach Rogers and Dylan Young. You've got a lot of former winners right in this group. Cody Llamas and Ryan Brommer as well. Rogers, your winner at Springfield. Dylan Young, 2-time winner this season. His most recent win at Pikes Peak. Cody Llamas way up the track there. Your Fuel Motorsports Park winner. And Ryan Brommer taking the checkered back at Texas. Battle brewing for second. Matthew Rodriguez trying to get to the inside of Trey Wright. Trey Wright has won a race every season so far. He won his first career race at Lakewood back in Season 1. That was a dirt track, and then he followed it up with a win at Manassas back in Season 2. He's still looking for his first checkered flag of Season 3. He's also looking to get himself out of the cellar of the point stands. Right now, 39th in points coming into this race. And Rodriguez is going to try and outbreak him there into 3. Looks to take the spot off of 4. He'll succeed in doing so move the Fun Dip Chevrolet up to 2nd. Let's drop back a little bit here to a side-by-side battle that's going on between a couple of teammates there. Jacob Thibodeaux, the 33, William Brock in the 88. Thibodeaux, of course, trying to move his way back into the top 30 in points. Our Las Vegas winner, William Brock, comes into this race 3rd in the overall standings, but he's still looking for his first win on the year. As a matter of fact, he's the last of the Northeast Motorsports drivers to try and find victory lane. Thibodeaux won at Vegas, Hudson won at Michigan, and of course LaPlante won just last week at Kansas, and he's actually not that far back, is LaPlante. There he is right now, 14th, running behind rookie Austin Kolano. And they're still sliding up there in the corner. That's J Qualls dropping back as he started up in the 4th position. He's now dropped back to 16th, and I think he's lost even more spots since then. Battling side by side with fellow Camry Matt Haas, points leader Benny Watson right in the vicinity as well. A couple of former teammates, or actually no, these are teammates, never mind. Battling side by side right here, Llamas and Norman. That'd be for around the 11th position, and Llamas will take the spot. He actually had all 3 of the Michael Norman Motorsports cars right here in the same vicinity, the 84, 18, and 81. Teammates battling here. This is for, I believe, 6th. Zach Rogers trying to hold off Ryan Brommer. Brommer's going to have the advantage on the inside going here into turn 1. Rogers tries to swing it wide, not going to work. A lot of drivers taking that corner really wide there into turn 1, trying to see if there's any grip up there, but so far, nobody's really been successful. T Wright now looking in his rearview mirror and sees the McDonald's logo looming large. Jack Mitchell there. Mitchell trying to get his 2nd career win. His first came, of course, at Darlington earlier on this season. And now trying to make it a multi-win season. Not only that, but trying to take the points lead away from Benny Watson. Came into this race 13 points back. It's obviously been a career year for Jack Mitchell, who spent the last 2 seasons mired down in the point stands. Really not a contender at all. Speaking of contender, we've got a contender for the lead here. Matthew Rodriguez has reeled in Mitchell Collins, who has led all 9 laps so far. How anxious is Matt Rudd going to be to get to the inside? Almost looked like he was trying to move him out of the way, but he actually was able to rotate the car to the inside off of 2. And he'll be alongside of Collins for the lead. So it looks like Matt Rod's got himself a very good car. And the fact that he was able to work his way up past T Wright for 2nd, past Collins for the lead. And what we saw right there with him able to cut his car down to the bottom of the track from the center of the corner off tells me that that car is completely hooked up, especially on the long run. Collins went up the track there in turn 1. He'll lose a lot of ground. That battle for 3rd place continues to heat up between T Wright and Jack Mitchell. Dylan Young currently just holding down the 5th position. Would love to get a 3rd win this season. Already currently 2 wins, 9th in the point standings, looking like he is pretty much solidified into the playoff grid. But now for Dylan Young, it's all about getting more wins before the regular season ends, because every win is 5 bonus points towards the playoffs. And that could be huge heading into the first round. Ryan Brommer and Zach Rogers have now slotted into 6th and 7th. Brommer the winner at Texas, Rogers the winner at Springfield. Remember, both the Bulldog Motorsports Dodges made it into the Final Four last year. It really came down between Ryan Acosta and Ryan Brommer as the other 2 drivers that made it to the Final Four, Zach Rogers and Michael Norman, got involved in an early wreck at Homestead. But we'll see. Right now, both of these Dodgers are poised to make it into the playoffs. Would they make it into the Final Four for the 2nd straight season? Obviously, only time will tell. William Brock is now working his way back up towards the front, getting around his teammate Jacob Thibodeaux for the 8th spot. Cody Lamas got a rear deck lid full of Austin LaPlante. That is for 10th. And LaPlante's going to get to the inside. You've got actually 3 of the Northeast Motorsports cars up here. And if LaPlante makes the pass, then 3 of them will be in the top 10. Brock in 8th, Thibodeaux in 9th, and LaPlante in 10th place. Where's the other Northeast Motorsports car? Nathan Hudson. Let's see, because you'd think that with 3 of his teammates doing well, he'd be up here. Right now, he is back in the 25th position, battling with Aaron Macklin as well as our Dover winner, Marcus Saatchi. Carter Friesen, our Atlanta winner's back here as well. Also the All-Star Race winner this season, currently in 28th. Rookie points leader Patrick Smith is back in 29th, but I believe he is running ahead of Cole Deaver, who is now 10 points back again in the rookie point standings after a couple of hardship weeks. 3 wide back here at the rear of the field. Jose Millz, Phil Parker, Jordan Lopez. So it doesn't matter that we're into a long run. These guys are still battling tooth and nail. There was Deaver in the 08. And we got a couple of the S3 actually a few of the S3 Motorsports cars not running so well right now. Deaver, Sandfer there in currently 38th, and Kyle Mathews right now in 40th. All 40 cars still on the lead lap, though, as we have currently run 16 laps under green, and we're about to complete the 17th lap. Matthew Rodriguez passed Mitchell Collins. He hasn't exactly driven away, though. It's about half a second from the 57 back to the 22. If we look in terms of lap times, Matt Rod ran a 30.194, Collins ran a 30.226. So little by little, Matthew Rodriguez is pulling ahead, but not nearly as much as I kind of expected he would based on how quickly he ran Collins down. And right now, one of the fastest cars on the track right now might be Zach Rogers. He just worked his way around Ryan Brommer for 6th and Dylan Young for 5th. That 6 machine is moving to the front. Battle for 3rd continues on here between Trey Wright and Jack Mitchell. Mitchell right now in the 4th position. In order to take the overall points lead from Benny Watson, Watson would have to be running in 18th or worse. Let's see where the 75 is currently at. Right now he is in the 23rd position, running behind our Charlotte winner, Levi McIntyre. So as of right now, according to the live point standings, Jack Mitchell would be taking over the points lead heading into next week. As a matter of fact, I should mention the next coming weeks here in the Duracell Cup Series, because we got some interesting stuff going on. It was actually announced that, I believe it was Coca-Cola Super Speedway has been taken off of the schedule this year. It's going to be replaced by Richmond, so Richmond actually will be in the playoffs. And the Richmond weekend, which would have been in 2 weeks from now, is actually going to be another dirt track. We're going to have 2 races in the same weekend. Half the field will be split up into one race, and half the field will be split up into another race. And it'll be taking place at the Chili Bowl. So that's going to be interesting. A couple of 80-lap races and 2 different winners, and that is certainly going to make things interesting as far as the playoffs are concerned as well, because, you know, with 26 regular season races, if we don't count the fact that Dylan Young is a 2-time winner, we were in line for possibly 26 different race winners on the season. Add another extra race in there, that's going to definitely stir the pot, as it were. Mitchell took a look there for 3rd place on Trey Wright, not able to make the move just yet. Matthew Rodriguez drove for Michael Norman Motorsports back in Season 1. The team at that time were Chevrolets. It's where he got his only win to date at Arizona. That was during the playoffs as well, so he was not able to get into the postseason grid. Last year ran a Toyota for what was kind of a combination of Michael Norman Motorsports and Con Autosports. But then Matt Rod broke off, went to his own single-car team of Con Autosports here, going back to Chevrolet as Michael Norman Motorsports stayed with Toyotas. And right now, chasing career win number 2. But we haven't even reached the halfway point of this race. We are only on lap 24. We also have the possibility of green flag pit stops that'll take place, as so far we have not seen the yellow flag today. And I don't think Matt Rod's out of the woods yet either, because Mitchell Collins, all of a sudden, his lap times have picked up, and he started chipping away at Rodriguez's lead. Top 2 have broken away by almost 2 seconds. Back to this battle that still is on for 3rd place, so it's currently a mano-a-mano at the front of the field. And as Trey Wright and Jack Mitchell battle for 3rd place, that's actually bringing Zach Rogers into the vicinity as well, and he's running lap times a little bit better than these 2 ahead of him. Mitchell finally going to get to the inside of Trey Wright. Let's see if he can complete the pass into turn 1. Trey Wright running the higher groove, but not nearly as high as we've seen other drivers go. He will, however, not be able to hold off Mitchell, and so Jack Mitchell will put the 0-1 into the 3rd position. William Brock right now the highest on the track in the points without a victory. 3rd in the standings coming into this one. And there's last week's winner, Austin LaPlante, currently holding down 9th place. Thibodeaux currently in 10th. Got Carson Gum back here, currently running in the 12th position. He came into this race 37th in the points. The gap between him and 30th in the standings, if I can quickly do the math, I think was 38 points. So obviously a long ways to go for Carson Gum to work his way back into the top 30 in points, but this is definitely a good start. Another of his Backmarker Motorsports teammates actually running pretty decent here today, and that's Cole Baker. Right now in the 16th position, Baker dead last in points coming into today's race. It has not been a good season for the 11 team. A team that was in the playoffs last year. Was a 2-time winner last season. And that team has just not been able to get it together here in Season 3. Right now behind him you got Ryan Butcher in the 17th position. Butcher so close to taking that checkered flag back at the Pensacola road course, but Jose Millz was ahead of him in track position, and both of them were about the same on fuel. Ryan Butcher has won at least one race every year so far, but still looking for his first this season, and Ryan comes into today's race currently 21st in the standings. So certainly for him, he is looking to at least build himself up a little bit higher in the points, because right now I would say a win and where he is in points doesn't necessarily mean that he would make it confirmed into the playoff grid. Speaking of playoffs and speaking of championships, how about the former champion, the defending champion, Ryan Acosta? This has definitely been what we would kind of call the sophomore slump for him. But the thing is, he's not been running that bad this season. He is 14th in points. You don't run 14th in points DNFing every single race. So he has been consistent. He's been decent. He just hasn't exactly been what we've seen out of him last year. But we do have to remember as well that Ryan Acosta last season made it into the playoffs with a Martinsville win. And Martinsville is quite a few weeks away on the schedule. He had a last-minute type win late in the regular season. So we can't say that Ryan Acosta is out of it yet. Right now, he is running in the 20th position, though. J Qualls last week struggled at Kansas. Dropped himself 4 spots in the standings down to 28th, our Pucaco winner. So right now, trying to just get himself away from that 30th in the standings cut line. And his teammate Nathan Ormond came into this race on the cut line of 30th in the standings. And there he is, right now in 33rd. And he was only 2 points ahead of Jacob Thibodeaux, who is 31st. So right now, Thibodeaux, I think, would be into the top 30. Ormond might have dropped out, our Bristol winner. So interesting battle there between a couple of rookies trying to get themselves into and stay in the top 30 in the standings. Keith Batson, he's working his way up to the front. Good run today here for the 39 as he's currently in 12th. We just saw him moments ago get around Carson Gum for that position. And now trying to run down this battle here between Kolano and Thibodeaux. This is for 10th. Austin Kolano's had a pretty quiet season. 18th in the standings coming into this race. 4th in the current rookie points. 21 points back behind current points leader Patrick Smith. But he's actually done very well in his rookie season for Michael Norman Motorsports. At one point was looking like he was going to crack the top 10 in the overall point standings, but a couple of struggling performances the last couple of weeks have put him down outside the top 15. R Brommer seems to be falling back as LaPlante got around him for 8th. And now we start to see who's definitely got the longer run car and who doesn't. Zach Rogers got around T Wright for 4th, now looking to get by Jack Mitchell for 3rd. The bad news for Zach Rogers is we've remained under green flag conditions, and the top 2 have been able to gap the rest of the field by almost 3 seconds. So if Zach Rogers does get around Jack Mitchell, that's a lot of ground he has to make up in the second half of this race. Now he will have the aid of a possible green flag pit stop, maybe to get fresh rubber. But I think right now for Zach Rogers, who I think could have the fastest car on the track right now, he basically needs a caution to get himself back up in the vicinity of these two, Rodriguez and Collins. And as I look at the lap times here too, with this being the type of track it is, not a lot of banking, pretty heavy braking zones into 1 and 3. Your typical kind of short track. I kind of expected the lap times to fall off more than they have. Matthew Rodriguez's best lap was around a 30.0. And that last time by, he ran a 30.5. That time a 30.6. So they're only losing about 5 to 6 tenths on their fastest lap of the race. So I don't know. It kind of seems like the tire wear hasn't really affected the lap times that much as I would have expected. I expect to see these guys falling off anywhere in the vicinity of 8 tenths to maybe a full second slower. But that has not been the case. And Mitchell Collins has found something because he is slowly reeling Matthew Rodriguez back in. He hasn't been able to close in like super close. But I think his car might be just a tiny bit better. And I don't know if that might be because he's getting some draft down these straightaways or what. Or maybe he's able to use the 57 as a test case of, well, he tried this, so maybe I can try something different, see if I can gain some ground. But he has stayed right within 4 tenths of a second from Matthew Rodriguez. So maybe, just maybe, if we do have that green flag pit stop, that's going to be the deciding factor between these two. It may come down to the pit crews as to who is going to win this race between Rodriguez and Collins. Not sure what the fuel window is here. And you almost wonder, too, depending on where the fuel window is. Well, never mind. I was just about to make some speculations, but the leaders are coming to pit road. Rodriguez and Collins are in, and here you see right there, Rodriguez kind of messed up the corner. Took it a little wide. That allowed Collins to close in. Coming to the entrance of pit road, R Acosta, Patrick Smith, K Mathews already on pit lane. Dylan Young stays out with William Brock, so D. Young is going to get the bonus point for a lap led. Something says to me, if you stay out longer, you're going to lose more positions than you gain. I think this is definitely a track of short pitting. And now Dylan Young and William Brock are going to hit pit road. And I think they were the last two that actually stayed out. Nope, there were a couple of others. Keith Batson, Carson Gum stayed out. J Qualls did as well. Levi McIntyre. And I'll be interested to see as McIntyre, Turner, they stayed out. Garcia and Gardner are in now. I'll be interested to see what the gap is now between the 57 and the 22. And it looks like Rodriguez. What happened to the 57? He's leaving pit road now, and that's back around maybe 13th, 14th position. Something happened to Matthew Rodriguez on pit road. And now Mitchell Collins has checked out with the lead. Just there was the exchange for the race lead. William Brock had it. Collins takes it. So Mitchell Collins out in front now. Jack Mitchell just cleared Zach Rogers for second. William Brock looks like he may cycle into fourth with Dylan Young in fifth. And remember, Brock and Young are going to have slightly fresher tires. I wonder if that might help them here in these final stages of this race. LaPlante's going to be sixth. Brommer will be seventh. Eighth, T Wright. Ninth, Keith Batson. And Kolano right now is in 10th. Matthew Rodriguez, who was the leader when these pit stops began, is now all the way back in the 24th position. And the only thing I can assume that might have happened to him to cause him to be this far back is contact with another car on pit road. If that is the case, we will show you what happened, courtesy of the NHRA split cam. But, oh, what a heartbreak there for Matt Rod. Battle for fourth is on. Dylan Young's going to get around William Brock for the spot. So now he is the highest up with the fresher tires. And now it comes down between the Mitchells. Mitchell Collins and Jack Mitchell, potentially for this race win. Zach Rogers right there in the vicinity as well. Remember, he had a good car on the long run. We'll see what the gap is here at the line. It was about 1.35 seconds last time. It actually opens to 1.47 seconds. Maybe because Mitchell was battling with Rogers at the time for second place. We'll see if Jack Mitchell can close the gap up this time around. But boy, that is a tough break there for Matthew Rodriguez. But Mitchell Collins, who started this race from the pole, drifted back to second. Never really lost touch with Matthew Rodriguez, but his team got it done on pit road. And now he is looking to finish out this race and pick up his second career win, first of the season. And then his next goal would be to try and get himself into the top 30 in points, because he is 36th currently in the standings. It would also be Young Motorsports' third win on the year. Dylan Young currently the only one of that team that has won, and he's done it twice this year. Interval chipped down a little bit between Collins and Mitchell. And it chipped down a little bit again, but not by much, about 3/100ths that time. Car that's on the move is Dylan Young. He just made his way around Zach Rogers. And if you remember back, which race was it? Was it Pikes Peak, I want to say it was? Dylan Young denied his teammate, Adam Garcia, a chance at his first career win. Garcia finished second in that race. Dylan Young, if he's got a fast enough car, is he going to get up here and deny another of his teammates a victory this season? I mean, Collins is running 30.2s. Dylan Young ran a 30.016, his fastest lap of the race that last time around. So all of a sudden, that 2 car has come alive. And remember, he's got about 1 to 2 laps fresher tires. It's just a matter of when those tires wear, and he kind of goes onto an even playing field with the drivers ahead of him. But he got by Brock for fourth, he got by Rogers for third, and he is continuing to charge, now trying to reel in Jack Mitchell for the lead. And Dylan Young is only about 1.7 seconds back. There's still plenty of time here for him to reel in the teammate in the 22. Ryan Brommer just made a pass on Austin LaPlante, move him up to 6th. T Wright just got by for 7th, so LaPlante drops back to the 8th position. Dylan Young continuing to run 30.0s, that time a 30.1, as he's, I think, maybe backed it off just a little bit, trying to figure out where he can make the pass on Jack Mitchell for second. But at the same time, both he and Jack Mitchell have started chipping away at Mitchell Collins' race lead, and here comes Dylan Young for second. Well, back in Season 2, Dylan Young got his first career win at Darlington. Mitchell got his first career win this season at Darlington. Dylan Young had never had a multi-win season until this year. He's about to try and be a 3-time winner before we've even gotten to the playoffs. Let's watch the top left of our screen and see what the intervals are going to be between Collins and Young. This time by at the line, it's going to be 12 laps to go for Mitchell Collins. Is that enough time to hold off his teammate in the 2? Dylan Young closed it down by 12 100ths that time by. 30.3 for Collins on a lap time, 30.2 for Dylan Young. Young is obviously the faster car. And Collins looks like he can't really even hook it down there on the bottom anymore. This time by, the interval might be a second. Well, a little bit more than that, 1.05. But still Dylan Young, the faster car on track. I mean, Dylan Young at this point is into the playoffs with 2 wins. He just got to now stay in the top 30 in points. The only multi-time winner this season. Would he be willing to let Mitchell Collins take this checkered flag if he gets to him? With the way he raced Garcia back at Pikes Peak, the answer to me would probably be no. And the gap is now less than a second. About 9/10 between Mitchell Collins and Dylan Young. Mitchell Collins is currently on just about a 2-year winless streak. Dylan Young, his last win came at Pikes Peak, race 10, back in the first half of the regular season. Question is, how badly does Collins want it? How much of a fight would he be able to put up against Dylan Young, who continues to chip it away, now down to 3/4 of a second? And the thing that is not on the side of Collins right now are the laps to go. There is still 9 laps left. And at the pace that Dylan Young is running right now, he's going to catch Mitchell Collins within the next 2 laps. He may have also just caught on to the draft of the 22, which is going to help him close in even quicker. Now almost half a second between Collins and Young. Meanwhile, Carson Gum has worked his way up into the top 10, just took the 10th position away from Ryan Butcher in his quest to get back in the top 30 in the standings. It looks like Dylan Young may have ran a little wide there through 3 and 4, maybe getting into the draft of the 22, maybe not finding quite the grip he had before when he got around Rogers and Mitchell. Mitchell Collins praying for these next 7 laps to go by quickly. No traffic should come into play. Charles Belding just now traversing through turn 3. He's running 30.3-second lap times, around the same as Mitchell Collins, so I don't see any traffic coming into play here in this battle for the win. It's basically going to be a couple of teammates to settle it out here at the Chicago Motor Speedway. Dylan Young is a Florida native, but he does have ties to the Chicago area as well, so I guess you could kind of consider this a home track for D. Young. And with that in mind as well, might also play into how hard he races his teammate for this win. Oh boy, Dylan Young's car rotated really nice through the center. He's going to look down to the inside. Little contact there between the two, as Dylan Young looks to move the 22 out of the way for the race lead. Collins wants to hold him off, but I don't think he's got the car to do it. Dylan Young's going to clear for the lead off of turn 2. New leader at Chicago Motor Speedway. And it's almost deja vu from Pikes Peak. Dylan Young denying a teammate a chance at a victory. It was a 1-2 Young Motorsports finish at Pikes Peak. Young over Garcia. Looks like we may have a 1-2 finish here at Chicago. Young over Collins with 4 laps to go. Does Collins have anything for Dylan Young? Dylan Young's pulling away. Dylan Young's got his eye on the playoffs. He's looking to be the #1 seed when the 16-driver grid is put together. Looking for his 3rd checkered flag on the season. He won the 2nd race of the year at Manassas. He won the 10th race of the season at Pikes Peak. And now looking to get his 3rd win in 18 races here this season. 2.5 to go for the Wawa Ford Mustang. But you look back at Adam Garcia and Mitchell Collins. The seasons they have had, Garcia 32nd in points, Collins 36th in points, both of them in line for victories, and Dylan Young, their teammate, their team owner, looks like he may be denying them. We got a battle brewing here for 5th in the closing stages. Ryan Brommer looking to the inside on T Wright. He'll take the spot. James Qualls just made a pass for 11th on Ryan Butcher. And Carson Gum got around Austin LaPlante for 9th. The white flag is in the air. One more lap to go as K Mathews had to make a late race pit stop. Dylan Young looking for his 3rd win of the season. If he wasn't confirmed into the playoffs starting this race, he certainly will be leaving this race, as Dylan Young, with about 8 races to go in the regular season, looks like he could be the #1 seed. He will look for his 3rd checkered flag of the year, winning here today at the Chicago Motor Speedway. Dylan Young, the only driver this season with multiple wins. Everyone that has won a race this year only has a 1 in the win column. Dylan Young now has 3. And could Dylan Young be saying, if you want to win the championship this season, you're going to have to go through me? Boy, he had a tremendous long-run car, and remember, he was one of the few that stayed out the longest. I thought that was actually going to hurt Dylan Young, staying out there on older tires, but the newer tires he gained on that last run after the pit stops was what I think got him this win. He worked his way from 5th place up to the race lead and never looked back, and Dylan Young, very much so, putting himself as one of the drivers we will probably have to spotlight as a potential Final Four favorite. It's again a 1-2 finish for the 2nd race this season. Dylan Young this time over Collins. And it was back at Pikes Peak. He got the win over teammate Adam Garcia. Jack Mitchell brings it home in 3rd. Zach Rogers, Ryan Brommer, a couple of teammates there in 4th and 5th. So for Mitchell, Rogers, and Brommer, keeping their playoff hopes alive with continuous good performances. I believe Jack Mitchell as well is now the new points leader, as he finished 3rd and Watson finished 21st. So Jack Mitchell, for the first time, I believe, in his Duracell Cup Series career, will be at the very top of the point standings. T Wright, good run for the 28 car there. He brings it home in 6th. William Brock in 7th. Carson Gum, the climb towards the top 30 in points continues. A 9th place run for a Daytona 500 winner. Keith Batson, good run for the 39 car. He'll finish in 9th, and in 10th was last week's winner, Austin LaPlante. James Qualls will get himself a nice cushion between 30th in the standings and his 54 car with an 11th place run. Ryan Butcher in 12th. Jacob Thibodeaux, 13th place run, I believe. He may have finally gotten himself back in the top 30 in the standings. Matt Haas finished in 14th, and Cody Llamas in 15th. Rest of your top 20 were Austin Kolano, Ryan Acosta, Michael Norman, Cole Baker, and Marcus Saatchi. Points leader coming into this race, Benny Watson. We really didn't see him up there at all. He finishes in the 21st position. And as we look on down through the remainder of finishing results, a couple of drivers I'd be a little bit worried about with the performances they had here today. One of them would be Charles Sandfer, finishing in the 37th spot. He came into this race outside the top 30 in the point standings already, and I think that N Ormond may have very well fallen out of the top 30 in the point standings yet again. Came in 30th in the standings, only 2 points over Thibodeaux, and Thibodeaux had a good run today. Garcia finished ahead of him in 27th. He was behind him in the standings, so I think Ormond may very well have fallen out of the top 30 in points. We'll have to bounce back next week at New Hampshire. And K Mathews, kind of interested about that kind of late pit stop he made there. The timing that these drivers made their pit stops, they were good to go on fuel. I don't know what happened there with the 09, but he finished the only car 1 lap down in the 40th position. So a heavy braking zone track here at Chicago Motor Speedway. We go to yet another heavily braking zone track next week at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. A couple of former winners there come into this race, or head into that race, as winners this season. Austin LaPlante took the very first checkered flag back in Season 1. He, of course, won last week at Kansas. And Levi McIntire got his first career win there last season. He, of course, won the Coke 600 this week, or a couple of weeks ago. So both those drivers looking to see if lightning will strike twice and add their name to the list that currently only holds Dylan Young as a multi-time winner this season. But that's going to do it for our coverage here today from the Chicago Motor Speedway. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. We have shown you full feature results. These are what your point standings look like heading into the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. 63 laps, caution-free, great green flag racing here today at the Chicago Motor Speedway. Until then, I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching a production of the NNSCRA, Offline Racing at its best.